Okay, welcome again to Let's Talk Chemistry with Pastor Dan. We're going to do 2 practice days today just to prep for the next test. The test will be in 2 days. So we got practice today, practice tomorrow, and the test. Again, tests are important because they're the testing of our character. So I'm not going to do as much of an explanation because these are pretty straightforward. They should not be too difficult. So here's the first set of practice. So I've got a bunch of these. I think I have like up to 5. So this is the 4th one I did. First, I want you to determine the enthalpy of energy needed to increase the temperature of 58.195 grams of water from 10.0 degrees Celsius to 64.8 degrees Celsius. That's a straight enthalpy problem, straight specific heat problem using the specific heat of water. Number 2, calculate the temperature change in a container if water requires 112.50 kilojoules of energy to heat 335.370 grams of water. We're finding the delta T there, so you're going to rearrange the equation. Remember, we're still dealing with water, specifically the water is still the same. Number 3, identify the amount of energy needed to boil 61.97885 grams of water. So that's going to be heat of vaporization, so delta H of V. And then number 4, find the mass of ice that is needed to melt if 5.646 kilojoules of energy is used. Remember, kilojoules have got to be converted to joules. It's fusion, so it's C of F. And we're finding delta H of F. We're finding the mass there. All right, now once you've done that, there are 4 examples here. I want you to tell me if it's a chemical change or physical change. Remember, a chemical change, new substance is formed. Physical change, no new substance is formed. The second set, I want to tell me if it's intensive or extensive property. Intensive property, the value is always the same. It doesn't matter how much you have. Extensive, the more you have, the more the number increases, or less you have, the more the number decreases. So identify those 4, they're intensive or extensive. And then for these 4, I want you to tell me, got to put a little space in there. I want you to tell me if it's endothermic or exothermic. Exothermic energy that releases energy, so it gets hot. Endothermic, it gets cold or requires energy to start. And then I have 4 essay definitions here: exothermic, extensive property, exothermic, physical change, chemical change, endothermic, and intensive properties. With those definitions, match them up. So that's the first practice set. And let's go to the second practice set. There we go. So find the specific heat of a substance. Constant if the substance requires 31.55 kilojoules of energy from 9.255 grams to go from 21.55 degrees Celsius to 211.333 degrees Celsius. So we're doing we're finding C. So we're finding the C. It's not water this time. Number 2, calculate the amount of energy needed to melt. So we're melting. That's C of F. Delta H of F, enthalpy of energy needed to melt. And then number 3, what is a mass of water to boil if it takes 145.00 kilojoules? We're going to convert the kilojoules to joules. We're going to find the mass using the C of V and the delta H of V. All right, so we got some terms here. So I want you to tell me what blank, law of blank, and then fill those blanks in. I want you to tell me the 5 types of energy and how you define them. And then I want you to identify the properties and define them, types of reaction and define them, types of changes and define them. And then, like we did before, tell me chemical, physical, new substance or not new substance, intensive or extensive, and then is an exothermic or endothermic. So do all those as well. I was going to say, and I don't save. All right, now I'm going to go right into the answers here. So here goes my answers. This one folded over a little weird, so I'll move this over here. So the answer is 13,300 joules or 13.3 kilojoules. Answer number 2 is 80.175 degrees Celsius. You see the work right there. Number 3, we have 140,692.0 joules. For number 4, we have 16.80 grams. Those are the answers for the completion, and those are the answer for the bottom set. Awesome. And then let's go to the second set of answers, and I'll move this back over here again as it was back where it's supposed to be. For number 1, it's 7.96 joules per gram degree Celsius. Number 2 is 23,856.84 joules. And for number 3 is 63.877 grams. Okay, there is the first law of thermodynamics. Those are the 5 types of energy: intensive, extensive, exothermic, endothermic, chemical change, physical change, and then those are the answers for the different completion. Now, those kinds of things will be on the test in 2 days, so we're good to go. All right, now, you know what's going to happen, and I've really struggled about whether or not to share this because, to be honest, it doesn't make me look good, but one thing the Bible does is it tells people's character the way they are, warts and all, good men. David had sin. Moses had sin. Paul had sin. Peter had sin. And I'm in no way putting myself in their categories at all. But I want to let you know that, there's something that happened when I was a lot younger, about 25 years ago, and God showed himself faithful, and I want to share that as well. 1999, I was relatively young. I mean, I've been teaching for about 10 years, but still wet behind the ears in some way. And I had mercury. Now, I understand mercury is a neurotoxin, but you have to understand, when I grew up, you put mercury in your hand, you played with it. It wasn't a big deal. I had spilled mercury in my room before. I cleaned it up, no big deal. I had an amalgam kit. I did the cleanup, no big deal. Well, one time I had a container. It fell off. It broke. I spilled about 20 milliliters of mercury. Not a huge amount, but the district found out one thing. And I wasn't trying to hide it. They asked me if I did it. I immediately said, yes, I did. I didn't lie. But I did make a mistake. I just cleaned up the way I always did. They brought in crews of people. They found mercury with dust on it. Now, I don't think that was my mercury because dust doesn't settle that. So mercury was here probably a long time. But because mercury is a neurotoxin, because I did have a spill, because I didn't report it right away, I was called in the superintendent's office, and it was determined that I needed to pay a consequence for my action. So I was suspended without pay for a week. Now, the group that I'm with that supports me said, don't worry, this won't be a big deal. We'll get you paid and no problem and all that kind of stuff. As I was leaving from the meeting, I heard God speak to me. He said, whatever they say you have to do, whether you like it or not. And when I first heard them say that I was going to be suspended without pay, my reaction was, God, really? I mean, I could fight this. But God didn't say anything. He just reminded me what he said. So I went in the next day and told him I would accept my punishment. I was suspended without pay for a week. That money came out of my next paycheck. So I didn't make a huge amount of money 25 years ago. And so my next paycheck was like $15. To say that I was a little freaked out and nervous about how to pay things would be an understatement, but God showed himself faithful. Situations came up where work just popped in my lap. I was able to pay all our bills, didn't miss a mortgage payment, didn't miss an electric payment, didn't miss anything. Christmas that year, I'll have to tell you, was a little bit on the lean side. My wife and I thankfully, I only had Adam at that point. And so he was like 1 or 2 years old, and he really didn't notice much of a difference because 1 or 2, you give him a box, they're happy. But my wife and our gift to each other that Christmas was like back rubs and time to go by yourself so that I'll take care of Adam and stuff like that. Vacation that year was like almost non-existent. We went away for a weekend and that was about it. That's all I could afford. But God showed himself faithful. And the other thing is, God does not allow us to skirt our responsibilities. And the thing that I also learned is it makes an impact on other people. People ask me how I felt when I come back, and I said redeemed, because I paid my price. I minister in prison. I think I've mentioned that before. The fact that I can tell the prisoners, I know what it means to have somebody tell you, you must be punished, is powerful, because that means all of us fall. All of us sin. All of us miss the mark. And God, in the midst of that, will carry us through. He'll not skirt the issue. He will let you be exposed. Even if you think you get away with it, you will be exposed, either here or up there, one or the other. That will be known. And in the end, my character was better served by me paying the price. It showed in me a sense of integrity, a sense of honesty, a sense of being right before men. And I think that's what God was trying to show me when I went through it. So that's the story I want to tell. That's my testimony for this one. So do those practice. Take care. Be good. Have a good day. Bye.